Nice Guys is directed by Shane Black, director of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, Iron Man 3. Also wrote Lethal Weapon, The Last Boy Scout, Last Action Hero, and The Long Kiss Goodnight. So he's had a good track record of this kind of film, buddy cop movies in particular. So it's set in 1977. Russell Crowe is Jackson Healy, is an enforcer. People pay him to beat up people they don't like. And Ryan Gosling plays Holland March, a private investigator. People pay him to investigate cases. The pair cross paths as they are both looking for the same girl, Amelia. They start on the opposite sides of the case, but realise that if they team up, they stand a better chance of finding her. And I think saying any more than that would give it all away. Also, because so much happens that I still haven't got my head around it. George, what do we think? It's a pretty standard buddy cop movie.
This is so far up my street, this film, that it might as well have been called like George
Shaw Street
or George Alley, which I'm kind of glad it wasn't, because that's an awful name for a film.
Yeah.
But I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It kind of hit every base that it was aiming for. It has its kind of reference points, which, like you mentioned, kind of the music, the 70s disco vibe. It's got the kind of sleaze of something like Boogie Nights, and then it's got the 80s buddy cops, so like Tango and Cash, and then all this kind of pinned together by the sort of L.A. noir of like a James Ellroy novel, and it kind of just works so brilliantly well. And I think one of my favourite things about it is, and I think it's sort of time we looked at Ryan Gosling, the comedian.
Yeah.
Because funnily enough, I finally saw The Big Short the other day, and I kind of drew some parallels between his performance in that and this, in that it's kind of a really quick, sharp-witted, kind of comedic performance with a great sense of timing. And I think that's something that doesn't get acknowledged from him quite often as it maybe should.
He hasn't had a lot of chance to really show off that kind of comedic presence, because he's known for things like Drive, where it's the least funny character you can ever imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Very stoic, doesn't say a lot. Things like The Notebook, which I've not seen, but that's not really my cup of tea.
It's not full of laughs.
No. He's kind of known for most of that. I mean, Crazy Stupid Love was kind of a comedic performance, but The Big Short in particular was a real surprise for us when we saw it, because we were like, wow, this... I mean, especially in this, he seems like he'll do anything for the laugh.
Yeah.
I mean, throwing himself off balconies, sitting on a toilet with his pants around his ankles. It's just little things like that we've not really seen from him that are just kind of exciting to see.
Yeah, the thing that I was worried about was that I'd seen the trailer so many times and seen the clip so many times that these bits that work on their own, I was worried, how are they going to fit into the film, and is it going to be that I've seen them so many times that they're not funny anymore? But as the scenes play out, the laughs just keep coming.
Oh yeah.
And they do a really good job. I mean, Russell Crowe and Gosling work so well together, and you can tell they're having fun, sort of bouncing off each other, and they kind of play the good cop, not so good cop like roles really well, and so it's great to watch. But I think the real star of the show is Angourie Rice.
Yeah.
As Ryan Gosling's daughter, because it's incredibly confident and self-assured from someone so young, and it kind of pulls everything together and like is the hook that pushes the narrative forward.
Yeah, I mean, like, you immediately think when you see a sort of child actor in a film like this that maybe not the best idea, but actually she was a really assured, not just like performer, but also very comedic as well. And had a major impact on the story. And I commend them for that, for kind of, because it could have been Kiss Kiss Bang Bang too, but it wasn't.
I think there's times when the plot almost gets lost in itself, and she's the person, the character that drives it and that recovers it and lets it find its feet again.
Which is quite funny, isn't it? Really?
And it is, because she's really funny at it, and there's scenes where she's kind of stuck in a strip club or in a party, and she pulls it off brilliantly well, because otherwise with some I think some child actors you might be like, this is a bit uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But she's so sort of adult with her performance.
She drives a car.
Exactly, she drives a car for most of the film. So
we've mentioned Russell Crowe. I mean, he's had a bit of stick in the past for not really being a very comedic performer. I mean, he was on Saturday Night Live a few months ago, and he was not very good. But in this kind of, and some people have criticised him for being just a meathead, but I think he was more than that. What about you?
I think he's the straight man. So that's always going to be like, the Ryan Gosling is getting it's like his Laurel to his Hardy. You know, Gosling is getting the slapstick laughs, while Crowe's just there to pull a funny face.
Just mop up.
Yeah, exactly, and kind of actually be the story at times. But I think it's a really good performance, and like I say, you can see them two really enjoying working together.
What I like about the film is that there's kind of two films going on at the same time. If you're after just the sort of dumb, cheap laughs,
Yeah.
then it's fine. If, like us, you kind of are more invested in the plot of the story and,
Yeah.
the characters, it's good. But because the plot is so dizzy, we haven't really touched on the story because it kind of goes through all. Kim Basinger, she is part of the Court of Justice, and
Yeah.
she has a big part in it. But can't really say what that is either. There's so many sort of twists and turns on it. You got people like Keith David, who plays this he's like sort of mob boss, isn't he? He's a very commanding figure, and you got the guy who gets the blue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's lots of different characters that all sort of pulling this in different directions to find Amelia, and a whole thing about Misty Meadows, the porn star who dies at the very start. No spoiler, but yeah. So it's complex, and it's too complex to even begin to. I'm sure Ryan would have done a very good job, but it's too complex to even get into the finer detail of it. But I think the thing I like most about it is that there's that funny comedy film that's quite throwaway, and you got this side of things where it's very plot heavy, and you have a lot of fun unraveling it at the same time as the people on screen, and you can kind of choose between them. If the plot stuff's getting too much and too heavy, you can kind of just switch back to just enjoying the laughs, because it never stops, does it? Really, like even in the times where it gets quite serious, there's always Ryan Gosling popping up with some kind of quip or some kind of line or some kind of scream or.
Well, and even the kind of big final set piece that everything builds to, even that's kind of filled with bits of something that could be from Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
Like things falling and kind of plot falls and stuff like that. So it's always funny, and it always keeps the laughs coming, even when it's the more serious sections. And it's kind of full with those brilliant, like, nuanced performances from everyone.
I loved it. I didn't want it to end.
No, I didn't. I wanted to go straight back in.
Because the funny thing was that there kept being points where I thought, right, this is it, it's going to end now. Oh, what a shame. But then it just keeps going.
Yeah.
It keeps going. And then you realise you've been sitting there for 2 hours, and you could have been sitting there for about half an hour.
Yeah.
And you just wanted to keep going.
It never outstays its welcome, and I think when I left, I wanted a mustache and a Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
And I was convinced I was in a car chase when I was driving home. So like it ticked all my boxes.
I think tonally and sort of attention to detail with the aesthetic and just nailing the period tone of the film.
Yeah,
they did a really spot on job. I think as soon as you get into that party, because it's quite a long party scene, isn't it? When they get in there, they split off.
Yeah,
you got Gosling like sort of swimming in the fish tank, but it goes on for quite a while, and there's so much happens in that scene. It goes on for quite a long time, but it's just it's a real sort of good indication of how well they've got the sort of 1977 Hollywood spot on.
That every beat in those scenes is spot on, and every kind of, it's like every second's not wasted, and every second is kind of planned meticulously to get the vibe and get the feel of everything right, and it pays off. It really pays off well.
Does. One thing I want to take from this is Ryan Gosling needs to be more comedy stuff for definite. I mean, he's pretty good at picking roles, so obviously I'm sure you wouldn't pick any old kind of comedy rubbish.
Yeah.
So more things at The Big Short, more things like this, and I'm very excited for that future. And also Shane Black, because his previous directing work has been very well acclaimed. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang being his first directing film, and thankfully this isn't that, because I only watched it a few weeks ago and I wasn't like massive on it, like a lot of people. Have you seen it, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang?
I haven't, no, but you mentioned Lethal Weapon, and that kind of, it almost picks up where something like that left off this, where it's kind of the action with the comedy, and it's something he does sort of brilliantly well.
He does, and I noticed I was doing my my reading on him, and he's in his script, he kind of puts little notes to the people, like, so the producers and stuff. He says, like, just to keep them kind of awake, just to make sure they're still reading along. They're called like Shane Blackisms. I think it's pretty good. In the future from him, we've got Doc Savage, which has got Dwayne The Rock Johnson attached, and also he's doing the Predator sequel called The Predator, because he, of course, did some rewrites on the very first one back in the 80s. So the future is bright for Shane Black. Really getting in his stride directing, and it really shows. I think it just really, really works, and I was delighted because it's a film I've been excited for since the trailer dropped at about Christmas. Because I remember sitting watching it just before Star Wars at home, and that was, what a fantastic day that was. And I was really pleased, and I would probably go see this again, to be honest, because it's just a film that I didn't want to be over, and the next best thing to that is just going and watching it again. Yeah, I think it's a film that will benefit from rewatches. It's a film that will benefit from watching with other people, just because it's so much fun.
It's incredibly layered as well. So I think if you see it again, you'll get something. You'll get a totally different film.
Oh yeah.
You'll see something you definitely missed the last time.
That's the nice, guys. It is terrific. It is a recommend from both of us.
Yes, 100%.
It's on now at the Empire Cinema in Sunderland and at the Tyneside Cinema in Newcastle. Well worth your time.